There's a lot of nasty stuff hiding out there between the stars. Forgotten fleets, gigantic monsters, black holes, but few things inspire fear like the unexplainable, the things that go bump in the night. And in the Star Wars universe, there are unexplainable sentient entities which will go out of their way to prey on living beings. We'll discuss Starweirds, Space Wraiths, and more on today's Star Wars Legends lore video. Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars lore video. Let's not waste any time and get right into the profile of the first species we'll be looking at on today's video. Space Wraiths, a creation of the Ultimate Adversaries RPG guide. Space Wraiths are strange beings, not totally tethered to one dimension and skirting the line between the real world and the spirit world beyond. Ultimate Adversaries describes them as shadowy, insubstantial beings which float through space in a state of hibernation until a sentient being comes near them. Upon encountering such an individual, they forcefully enter their mind and force the being to act in a way contrary to their normal inclinations. The guide describes examples where a technician would sabotage his machinery, soldiers turning against their allies, and Force users falling to the dark side. However, much like the demonic entities of pop culture, the possession of a Space Wraith, at least in its early stages, is usually subtle until full control can be achieved. Now, it's unclear what exactly these beings are, and some do believe that they're simply a species within the galaxy, while others argue that they're the spirits of dead Force users gone to the dark side who could not reach the afterlife. Regardless, because the degree to which they use the dark side of the Force, and they do during and after possession, it's clear that they're either a manifestation of or a tool of the dark side. They're also singularly minded, with simply the goal of evil. However, their actions do seem to be much more restrained and nuanced than, for example, the Nal Nal, which I've discussed many times in earlier videos. Notably, Space Wraiths can possess an individual simply by touching them, and apparently the only resistance is an extremely strong will. They typically inhabit hyperlanes and can pass through ships and other solid objects like shields or armor to attack their victims. They move completely silently and, while in ghost form, are extremely intelligent and stealthy. A fully wraith-bound creature typically will seek out to kill all of those around them, and if they have the power of the Force, they will use the dark side without hesitation. Next, let's talk about Starweirds, another creation of the Ultimate Adversaries guide. Like Space Wraiths, Starweirds were found only in deep space. However, they seem to be a bit more off the beaten path. Rather than inhabiting hyperlanes, they more or less kept to themselves. That is, until someone is unlucky enough to run across them. When this happens, the guide says the victim sees an impossibly tall humanoid, so gaunt as to be nearly skeletal, with long, white hair floating around its head, even within artificial gravity. It wears rags that hang in strips from its bony arms, and when you look at the face of the Starweird, it's said to resemble, at least somewhat, your own. However, with a large mouth full of sharp teeth and an eerie glow behind the eyes. And that is a somewhat altered quote from the book. Unlike Wraiths, Starweirds do not possess a victim. Rather, they simply attack them, usually with their claws or a scream which can be heard even in the middle of space. For some reason, they focus especially on Force users, leaving some to believe that they could be a manifestation of the dark side. Regardless of their target, Space Wraiths will not stop pursuit until either they or their victim are killed. However, it's unknown how you actually destroy a Space Wraith, likely through the light side of the Force. How exactly non-Force sensitive targets are selected is unknown, but it is believed that Starweirds may feed on the life force of living beings. Notably, aside from their scream, Starweirds could use other powers, including Force lightning. So, interestingly, these two beings are certainly not the only recorded instances of ghosts or weird entities in Star Wars. Far from it, in fact. Obviously, we have the light side Force apparitions of dead Jedi, but in Legends at least, Force ghosts of dark side users could also return, with a malevolent intent. Some, like Exarchun, would even go on to possess living beings. We also have unknowns, like the Vision, or perhaps Thing, that appeared before Luke on Dagobah, or Sith beasts, or Sith magic, which sort of straddles the line between an actual creation of the dark side itself and the manipulation of a living being. Add to that Abeloth, who was known to use her own will and the Force to inhabit bodies violently, and others like the Nal Nal, and it's very clear that deep space in the Star Wars universe is very dangerous, and also that there certainly is at least some form of life after death. Today's question comes from the Force Explored, who asked whether I would like to, and do I believe that there is currently, a series being developed on Disney that's based about Rogue Squadron and their missions during and after the Galactic Civil War. Of course, I would love to see this. I'm a huge fan of the X-Wing books from the Star Wars Legends expanded universe, and I find it really strange that Rogue Squadron has received almost no attention in the new canon. However, it's very unlikely that Rogue Squadron is a major part of the New Republic, but they certainly could see some action during the Galactic Civil War. Do I think such a show is likely? Probably not, but I think the Alphabet Squadron trilogy will sort of fill that gap pretty nicely, and Alphabet Squadron is personally my most anticipated EU work. But thanks for the question, it was a great one. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have a question you'd like me to answer next time, consider leaving it down below with the hashtag AskEck. By the way, before we leave, I'd like to thank everyone who joined me on stream last night for the first part of the Republic Commando Let's Play series. If you want to make sure you catch part 2, I'll put a link to the Twitch account down in the description. I may also put the full video on X2, but that's only if you guys are interested. Let me know. Anyway, until next time guys, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.